Alright guys, how's it going today? I see we're all very comfortable. It is very chilly today. Like the blankets. Awesome.
I feel your heat from the heated blanket. Right?
Yeah, I know. It's
Can't
fantastic.
prepare today. I don't play.
As long as we're comfortable. So we were going to have a guest speaker today, but they had an emergency. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to reschedule them to come in. But I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about some things about having a sibling with autism, how it affects you in ways that you might not know yet. It's going to be a little bit of a difficult conversation, but I do want to offer to anyone who did not participate in the exercise last week, if you wanted to participate with the empty chair parent conversation, if any of you guys have thought of something that you want to talk to them about, or if you're just feeling like you want to today. Does anyone?
I'll go.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess maybe I'll just. We want to take driving lessons.
Okay.
Obviously, I feel like if I'm gonna need to be a little bit more independent, that I need to be able to at least know how to drive, and then that way I can help a little bit. Maybe more if they can't go do something, I can go do it, or I just don't know how they're gonna feel about the time that I have to invest, or something. Because what if they kind of similar to like Rachel? What if they say no?
Okay, that's understandable. Have you asked them at all about them teaching you to drive, or just maybe not so much with the time?
I guess I've just always been afraid to, because I'm afraid of their commitment with my brother, that they won't have the time. I guess it's kind of wrong of me to assume, but I am worried about it.
Well, do you think maybe that they would see you as having your license is a good thing, because then you can kind of help them out a little bit more. You don't have to worry about getting rides from them, so maybe you can frame it that way, and that they'd be more receptive to want to do driving lessons with you guys. So, that way you're not taking time away from them, with them actually giving you the lessons. Maybe just the lessons themselves from someone else, then they don't have to worry about where you're at. They don't have to worry about you learning. Everything's taken care of. So, do you want to start like maybe a little bit of a conversation with the chair?
Yeah.
How you would start?
I can try.
Okay.
Hey, Mom, Dad. I want to talk to you guys about something I've been thinking about. A lot of my friends are getting their licenses and everything, and I kind of want to start, maybe learning how to drive, just so that I can help you guys out. Like if I do get my license and stuff. How do you feel about the lessons? I know it's going to take some time away from, from home. You would have to take me, it could cost a little bit of money, but I'm just thinking in the long run, it would definitely be beneficial for all of us. It's, I just want to know what you think.
Right, yeah, those are some really good points. Have you looked into any driving schools, or?
Not really, no. I've been trying to concentrate on school. It's just something I just started thinking about.
Yeah, Rachel, go ahead.
I know when I got my license, I went to Stevens driving school, and they have a package where they actually pick you up.
Oh, really?
I know that was a major obstacle with my mom, because it was just not really possible for her to consistently get me the lessons or give them to me. So having them be able to come and pick me up at the house was a huge time saver for her. I don't think I would have been able to learn otherwise.
They it's like their packages and stuff are on their website. I could show them what.
Yeah, and I think a couple other schools in the area had similar things, but I know that they were really great.
Yeah, that would be a great suggestion to give them. Then you don't have to worry about who has the car. If they have to go do something while you're out, they can leave. You don't have to worry about picking you up, dropping you off. So.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll definitely check into that.
Great job helping each other out. So it's wonderful. So do you want to maybe give that suggestion to your empty chair parents?
I think I'm gonna save it.
Okay.
Because I want to do a little bit more research on it first.
Sure.
Because I don't want to babble for forever and bother you guys with it.
Well, it's not a problem. Like we're all here to support each other and give suggestions. Like Rachel gave you guys a great suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
We've always helped each other out. So I mean, if you do need to talk about anything, we'll definitely be here to help.
We got the group chat, so if I need
Yeah.
to,
Yeah,
maybe
definitely.
we can.
Maybe you could post a link to the website. To
Yeah, I can do
to
it.
the
I
group.
think I have the phone number still.
Great.
Awesome.
That's awesome, guys. I really appreciate it. Did anybody else wanna go this week?
You don't want to go, Joe?
That's all right. That's no problem at all. But all right. Our guest speaker that was supposed to come today was going to talk a little bit about the legal policies that come with, having a family member with autism. You guys may or may not know a whole lot about how that all works. You may know that there's certain insurance companies that do one thing and then certain services that do another. Which I think it was Rachel, you were talking about how you have a worker that comes in once a week to help you guys out. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. I know no one wants to think about it, but at some point, your parents will pass away or otherwise be unable to care for your brother or sister. And we all hope this is many, many years down the line, but it is something to think about now and prepare for. There's a lot of policies and legalities regarding guardianship and how to care for them and other things like that, and they're always changing. That's probably the most frustrating part about the system is it's always changing. So it's something, if you get a little bit information now, you can start building on that when you get older and how things are changing, what works better, what seems to work better, what is not working. And you can really be an advocate for your sibling when they can't really say, this isn't working, this doesn't work for me.
So basically what you're saying is that when my parents can't take care of my brother anymore, it's my job?
Well, there's a lot of agencies that have a bunch of options. Generally speaking, your siblings are going to need at least a legal guardian to sign paperwork. Like, right now, my mom and my dad are my sister's legal guardians, but I sign paperwork so that when, hopefully not for a long time, they pass away, I'm legally, I don't want to say responsible for her, but if she needed a medical treatment or a certain paperwork signed by a guardian, I would be doing it.
I don't mean to.
No,
So
go ahead.
there's a friend of my family. She's like 3 years older than me. She was just doing the process for being a legal guardian for, I think it's her cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So does the legal guardian have to be family?
No. It can really be anybody that is willing to be a legal guardian. It could be an aunt. It could be, it can really just even be like a government type of thing. Like, for example, if, say I have autism and I'm an only child, my parents were only child, like, I really don't have anybody at that point. So, it could really be anyone. It doesn't necessarily have to be siblings. Normally they're next in line to kind of accept that responsibility, but they don't necessarily have to be. No, that was a really great question.
What if we don't want it?
Well, technically you don't have to. No. I mean, in families where there are multiple siblings, someone else can take it. Generally speaking, being a legal guardian doesn't necessarily have to be a huge time commitment. I know that's what a lot of people worry about. They're like, I want to go get married, I want to have kids in my own family. I don't want to have my sister and brother living with me the whole time. How am I going to go date? How am I going to do this? But there are so many options available that it is just part of normal life. You can function normally, you can have a family, you can have a job, and it's all kind of taken care of. So, and they can be happy too. I mean, they don't have to be, bounced around and unhappy with where they're at too. So
I heard something something about a day hab.
Oh yeah.
What is a day hab?
A day hab is essentially like a day program. In a time that your siblings would normally be in school, around like 8 or 9 to about 3 or 4, they'd go to a program.
Mhm.
They work on life skills, social skills. They go on outings. They do crafts. And they just have like leisure time. And they just kind of hang out. But they make friends there. They do skills. Some of them do job training, and that's something that can kind of be in place of the time they would be going to school. So, and I mean, there's so many programs for that too. Usually, you'll have like a service coordinator, and your service coordinator will discuss with you the options you want for your brother or sister, or if you're the parents with your son or daughter. And then just kind of fit you into programs that you need. Like if you need a respite worker, that's someone that comes in, like what you have. If you need an in-home aide, because sometimes, there's other challenges besides just the autism, like medical problems that just need more attention than you're able to give. And they'll coordinate that with different insurances as well. So, and it's really important for you to be an advocate for your brother or sister, because you know them better than really anybody else. I mean, people in group home situations and day habs, they know them, but they don't know everything about them. They don't know whether they're, really happy where they're at, if this is, challenging them enough, but not overstimulating. Like you can kind of gauge how they would be happy in that situation. So.
I don't know, I'd be kind of worried about how they would feel in that kind of situation.
Mhm.
I mean, my brother, like if I had to put him in a day hab program, or like if he ended up living in a group home, like what if they're not treating him right? Like, he's not going to be able to tell me that.
Yeah, I mean, there will be some things you can notice, like if they're, maybe they're not talking as much as they were, maybe they're not as playful as they were. Like, there's always that, the way you know them and the way that they act, But it's generally speaking, you can visit group homes. You can visit them while they're there, and they can come and visit you on like weekends or like during the week.
Right.
So you can kind of see and gauge whether they're happy, whether the programs they do at the group home are going to be beneficial for them. And you have every right, if you do not like that group home, to remove them from that group home and find an alternative situation.
Like, I know I've heard of like programs like that, like sometimes they get like shut down or like closed or something. Like, what would happen then? I mean, would they help me find a placement? I keep saying me like it's happening to me right now, but I'm saying like if it were to happen, how would they go about that?
Yeah, these are really important things to think about too. So I'm glad you're bringing them up. But yeah, generally speaking, the service coordinators, they kind of get the heads up, like, oh, this program is losing its funding in a month. Mm-hmm. They will help you, and they are phenomenal at finding alternative placements. They'll discuss it with you as soon as they know. They'll bring up the alternatives that can work out, and they'll just really help with the transition. They try to make it as painless as possible. There's always going to be speed bumps. The budget fluctuates. Because a lot of these programs are run by government organizations, so they do run on a budget. There's cuts, there's surplus, just like every other program.
No, like I know. So you said government funded. Does that mean like certain places have, are they like specialty schools? Like, could my brother go to a school that like, because he's really into music? Mm-hmm. Would he be able to go like a musically inept school that allowed him to explore that more often, or would it just kind of be like, okay, today you're gonna do this?
Well, there are some day habs that specialize in one thing or another, so it's definitely something you can look for. I do not have a list of all the possible programs, unfortunately. I can put a list of the available agencies on the website if that would be interesting to you guys. There are programs that they can do, within reason. Really, whatever makes them happy. there can be art programs, music programs, just life skill programs where they can do like jewelry making, they could do cooking classes, they could do really anything you can think of. There's usually a program that will help them out with it, and it's really great because they do take a lot of time to fund these and staff them, and they do really love what they do. And there are some schools that allow students to attend till they're 21. Summit Education is a place that serves students until they are 21, and then they help place them into day have programs, group home situations, and things like that. I would start thinking maybe about a year to 6 months before they graduate to really start looking into things like that. Again, this is something that your parents will probably look into, but I'm sure they would love if you had an input on where your brother or sister goes. So, the reason I say to look ahead of time for these programs is that there does tend to be a long waiting list, not necessarily just for day have programs, but for respite. You have to find the right worker that is going to have the same times available that you need, and the list for group homes is even longer. It's something that you consider for the future. I mean, when they're 21, it's not like, okay, time to move out. They can stay home for as long as your parents are comfortable. But it is something to consider beforehand and to know what you're expected to do. So.
I feel like I'm asking a million questions.
That's totally fine. I think, is everyone kind of got the same questions though, right?
Mhm.
Everyone's...
Well, I guess, why are the group home lists so long? I mean, like, what happens if my brother, or Rachel's brother, what if they can't get into a school or something? Then what happens to them?
Yeah, those are very good questions as well. These lists are long, unfortunately, because when someone has a placement in a group home, it's rare that they leave unless the family were to move or the client is in need of a more specialized placement or the client passes away. And there really aren't that many group homes opening as there probably should be. So people who have no family are usually pushed to the top of that list. And after that, if there is a family that can take them, they are expected to, at least until they get placement for a group situation. And it's difficult, and it's really not entirely fair. But agencies really do work very hard to help as much as they can.
So you're talking more like a foster care, not so much like a group home. Like if a family can take.
No,
placement?
like your own family. Like if I have a sister or an aunt or somebody that can take them in, at least until placement can be made. And generally, if it's a serious situation and it's crisis, they do everything they can do for that. And of course, these policies are changing all the time. It's hopeful in the next couple of years that they will have more group homes opening up, staffed better, and all that. What's up, Jeff?
So, what are these agencies anyway? Like what are they called?
Okay. Well, most of them operate under a New York State organization called OPWDD, which is the Office for People with Developmental Disorders. And state program, they work with a bunch of other programs within the state, and they work on care for individuals and programs, and not just with young adults with autism, it's any developmental disorder too. So, they have a difficult job as well. They rely on a budget set by the government, and they do a phenomenal amount of work for having very little money to do with it. They're very creative in figuring out options. So there's a bunch of local agencies that work under OPWDD, very hard to say quickly. And some of these are like Opportunities Unlimited, Autism Services, some educational resources. It's a school, and they do actually provide job training, Oh, go ahead.
I know someone who actually works there.
Yeah?
And my cousin actually attended there when he was little,
Oh,
because
that's
he had autism, and he used to go to. He had this really like cool. Like he used to like, what was it, adventures or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where they would,
School program.
yeah, they would go like he'd go a full day and like do a one-on-one kind of thing, and he would go and like play with, the toys and kind of do whatever. He would work with somebody, like so that's like an actual like place around here.
Yeah. It's in the Western New York area actually. So, and they take kids from all over Western New York, not just Erie County, not just Niagara County. So
That's cool.
it's pretty diverse. They work a lot with different school systems. So yeah, they don't provide just schooling. They also provide job training. They provide respite. They provide service coordination. They're just starting a day camp program. It hasn't fully taken off yet, but it's a nice start towards something new. There's also Aspire and People Inc. There's a bunch more, but those are the really big ones. I'll definitely message that. There's more private ones too that work. They're still a bit smaller, and sometimes that works better for certain individuals. Like it's too many people in the day camp program, then we need to go to a smaller one because sometimes they just need that attention. So yeah, all these agencies offer a bunch of different services. You may need more than one agency, and that's fine. Normally, they're really great about working together because some programs only offer like a respite day hab, some offer just job training, some offer just group housing. So it's your service coordinator will generally piece it together and find the best solution possible for you guys.
That's kind of a relief. I feel like there's a good amount of help for me when it's time for me to take care of my brother. I was pretty worried about it when we first started talking about this. It's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
It's a lot to consider. I don't know. I just can't imagine what it would be like without my mom.
Yeah. It's never easy to lose a parent with or without a sibling that relies on you so heavily. But there is support, not even with just services, but in support groups like this. I mean, there will be some for you guys as you get older. Like as you guys turn 18, 19, there will be like a young adults group to do that. There's parent support groups, which of course you guys are all welcome to join. Not parents, but if you are legal guardians, you have the same essential sort of role as a parent would, without being parents. So more and more people are becoming aware of autism and the spectrum and what it really means. So I'm hoping that more support and services that are really needed will follow in the near future. So, we have a few minutes left. So for the next couple minutes, why don't we have a little bit of an open discussion. If you guys have any questions you want to ask or something you'd like to share, you can go ahead and do that now. If I don't have an answer to a question right away, I will definitely update you on the message boards as soon as I find it myself. Does anyone have any questions about the stuff we've talked about so far, or maybe stuff that you'd like to talk about?
What are the ratios in the day have programs in schools of like
Well,
teachers or adults to?
it really depends on the organization. There are some that are as close to one-on-one, like one student has one aide. Usually there's about 6, sometimes more per teacher, but the aide always is helping. I've seen day have programs where it's 1 staff member to 5. It really depends on the need, because sometimes, like the higher functioning adults with autism, they can generally be pretty self-sufficient, pretty independent, and they're okay with being in a group a little bit larger. They don't need the direct supervision. But there are some that will need the one-on-one attention longer than others would. So it's really dependent on the company, the program, and the staffing that's available.
Because what would they do in the case like my brother likes to just up and run. I mean, just get up and run. I remember when he was little, my mom used to have to put 3 bolts on the front thing because he used to just run right through the gate the minute it was open. And like,
Yeah.
how do they? I mean, my mom could barely handle me and him. I can imagine 5-on-1. You know, that's
Well, in that situation, the people that would be working with him would understand that. They have all been trained fairly, extensively. The OPWDD program is very, very conscientious of their training programs, and they're fantastic. So whoever would be working with your brother would know that they are to be like hands-on, and they would probably be a 1-to-1, and they would probably work on them as with the morning.
and if they need to reverse it. They need to put 5 staff on him. He
Well,
doesn't sit still for more than
That
2
is
seconds.
also an option. I mean, especially if they were to go somewhere in the community, if they were to go like to a restaurant or to the mall or a different kind of outing, it is possible they could have 2 staff members just working with him. And they will do what they need to do to make sure he is safe and that he is happy and that he can still experience things. It's not like they're just going to keep him out of those things because it's more difficult to handle him, because I'm sure he loves being out and experiencing the world and participating with everybody. It's just difficult.
It'd be nice if his energy could be put towards something, because like he just thinks ooh shiny about everything, and he'll run towards everything, and like I almost feel like he should have like a separate, like I don't know, a hobby, but it's just hard to get him to focus on it.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that can change too as he gets older. At a certain point, I'm sure he will find that one thing, and he will be fantastic at it, and he will put his energy toward it, and everyone is going to be amazed, and it will be really beneficial for him too.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you were younger, I'm sure it took you a while to realize, hey, I really like, hypothetically speaking, hockey more than I like basketball. Well, but I like this sport more than this sport.
Are we rooting for the Sabres?
Of course.
Yeah, then I don't want to talk.
Okay.
Get out of
Anyway.
Buffalo.
But I'm saying though is like it sometimes it takes longer to decide what you want to do, even in hobbies, and you gotta try a bunch of different things before you decide, hey, I really like this, and it's the same for them too.
I almost feel like my parents wouldn't tell me no about driving then, because they're gonna want me to grow up, show that independence, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's a good possibility, Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions for the group? No?
I just think it's unfair sometimes.
Yeah, it is, it can be very unfair. It can be very difficult to deal with, but,
Yeah.
just know that we're always here for you if you guys want to talk, and you're not alone going through it, so there will always be that support for you.
You gotta look at it this way. I mean, yeah, you don't want to settle down, but, you don't want to put your dream on hold, but could you imagine life without your brother or sister? I mean, would you want your parents to abandon you if you didn't have any place to go? I know it's not something you could really talk about right away, but like she said, I'm here. We're all here. So whenever you're ready to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys have a really good week. I think we're about time to go. I really appreciate you guys coming. It's been a bit of a rough week, I think, for everybody. We're all kind of heavy today, but next week we're gonna do some more fun stuff. We're gonna, do some more exercises, bring the mood up a little bit. So, it was really difficult today, but I really respect you guys for your honesty, your curiosity, your interest, and the more we know about autism and how to take care of our siblings as they get older, the happier they're going to be and the easier it's going to be for us. And the happier we'll be seeing them flourish somewhere. So, I really thank you guys for coming, and I'll I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Alright.